Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this month's first Alumni Spotlight. I am Kim Beals, Regional Director in Southern California, and I have the honor of talking today to Ankur Sharma, who, among many other things, is the chair of our Orange County First Robotics Competition Regional Planning Committee. Thank you so much for squeezing us into your schedule. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. So let's just jump right in. We have a whole bunch of questions, and you just give us your best answer. I'll start firing away. So we'll start at the beginning. How did you get involved with FIRST?
Um, a great teacher said, "Hey, it's my first year teaching. I took his class, my senior year of high school, and he said, there's this thing where there are robots and it looks cool. Do you think this would be interesting?" And I saw some footage of it, a videotape, VHS, and immediately was like, yes, we're doing that. We're gonna do that. We ended up having to find a sponsor and teams to work with, and Team 303 out of Bridgewater, New Jersey, is where I started my senior year of high school. We were 8 people on our team our first year, and we ended up actually making it all the way to the semifinal. No, we lost in the finals of our regional that year, but we still got to go to Disney for Worlds, and it was an insane senior year whim first experience.
Back in the Disney days. So then after
22 years ago.
So then tell me what happened after the Disney days in the senior year. What did you do after FIRST?
So I went to college. I applied to one engineering school because of FIRST. I applied to all sorts of medical programs, and then FIRST got me so excited into math and science that I applied to one engineering program. I got in and I decided to go. So I went to Stevens Institute of Technology in Hoboken, New Jersey, and I just still had this connection with my team. So every year, instead of going and helping with the team, I was starting to help out at the events, though. Even for minor things, just volunteering, queuing, whatever. It always seemed to line up with spring break, so it worked out pretty well for me. But for 4 years, I studied mechanical engineering, and it was everything I kind of wanted, and then things that I didn't know that I would learn. I think one of the things is that you have like a perception of what you're going to learn in college, and then you learn completely different things.
So then what happened after engineering school?
So
How did
I've
you
got
make
a
your way into a career?
Yeah. So I actually got a job as an intern during my college days with our first sponsor, a company called Beeler of America. Got me an internship when I was still in college. And then from there, I got into automated control systems and manufacturing. And I moved to Florida, and I worked for a company in Florida. And then I had like a family emergency, so I had to quit my job and move back to New Jersey. And that really gave me some time to really reevaluate what I liked doing about engineering, what I didn't like. And it gave me an opportunity to actually apply to med school and go to med school to be a doctor. So then I went and did that. And that took me all the way around the world to China. So I lived in China for almost a decade, practicing medicine and dealing with infectious diseases and all that kind of fun side of medicine for a while. And then when I moved back to the US, I kind of had to reanalyze, well, okay, I did medicine, I did engineering. Now I want to do something that's kind of both. And so I got into the medical device industry, and I've worked in the medical device industry ever since, and it is fantastic.
So how has your experiences and your knowledge of infectious diseases played into what we are all very familiar with of the pandemic of 2020?
It's kept me really busy. Since early 2020, I have helped develop protocols for reprocessing medical devices, PPE when there were shortages of personal protective equipment, dealing with doctors and hospitals all around the world and what they can do to make sure that they're being safe, that patients are safe, and how can we really control the spread of this. And then just for fun, I volunteer at local hospitals here in Southern California, vaccinating people and whatever else they need me to.
What is one thing you wish you had known when you began your career?
Um, I think what would be really important is that when I went into my career, I kind of thought I had an idea of where it would end. And I said, oh, I'm going to be an engineer. I'm going to go do this. And I think that I've had such a great career because at some point in my life, my dad gave me great advice. And he said, be open to new opportunities. Just keep an open mind. And sometimes this new opportunity is going to come and present itself. And it's going to be something that you didn't think you wanted or you didn't know you wanted. And it's going to be the greatest thing that ever happened. And I think that's very accurate for my life and my career. I've had so many random experiences that have led me to have a really powerful, career and background. And a lot of it just comes from being open to new ideas.
Is that the same advice that you would give your 18-year-old self or give young first participants looking at the big world?
I think if I look back on it, 18-year-old me, I would say maybe take a couple of business classes along the way, just so that I have some of the finance background, and maybe probably like buy Tesla stock, something like that. I would probably also tell 18-year-old myself. But I think for first people now, for students who are going through first now, yeah, keep an open mind. I've talked to so many students over the years that said, oh, we want to do engineering, and they go to engineering school, and I've talked to them after they were there for first year, and they were like, this is nothing like what I thought it was going to be. Well, okay, but there are benefits to it, and there's differences, and sometimes students stick with engineering, and then they're pleasantly surprised that it was the best thing ever. And then I've also had students switch to things like marketing and sales and finance, and they were just open to that opportunity. And it turned out to be a great thing for them. And being open-minded is a very strong skill to have. Very difficult to master, but yeah.
Agree. Totally agree. So you have done a lot with your experience from First. You've done a lot for First. What did First do for you?
I think really First did a couple things to me. It really, I would have never gone to engineering school if it hadn't been for First. I would have just gone to a med school and been done with it, and probably been practicing somewhere and not had this career that I've had. So First is definitely to receive the credit or blame, however you look at it, for me going into engineering. The other thing I think First did was really teach me well on how to cooperation. I know this is like a first word, cooperation, but I think it's really valuable in a day-to-day work environment, because you're not necessarily competing with your work teammates. And in a cross-functional environment, I'm working with engineers from R&D, I'm working with marketing people, and we're not necessarily competing. We have the same goal. We're trying to cooperate on something, but at the end of the day, we also kind of want to make sure that I kind of want my idea to be the better idea. I don't necessarily want that other. And learning that skill set and that mentality of let's cooperate so we all succeed, but let's also see how we can make ourselves stand out, is very applicable in the industry world or in adult life, I think, if you want to be successful.
So why are you excited and passionate about advancing STEM?
My entire life is STEM based. Everything I do is STEM based, and it may not seem that way sometimes, but medicine is very science, engineer, math. In infectious disease, it's very puzzle and calculative, and taking those ideas and understanding what's happening and how to problem solve. These are all real world skills that don't apply just to engineering. They don't just apply to a scientist who's a chemist. These are real world skills that can be applied multiple ways. And if you can have the core basics of a STEM education, nobody's going to be able to make a fool out of you by making up some facts. You're going to be able to understand how to do research. You're going to know how to read things. You're going to understand, hey, data is valuable. Understanding science and math is strong. And I think that's very important in our modern day society.
Back to the away from the STEM and more into the fun, or maybe it's fun with STEM. Tell me your first favorite memory.
So our teacher, my senior year of high school, would probably say that this is his favorite memory, and I think it's up there in my top. So we beat an unbeaten team to make it to the finals of our regional. This was back in the days where teams traveled from regional to regional, and we beat a team from Michigan, one of these super teams, unbeaten. This was their third or fourth regional, unbeaten, and we beat them. And the driver for that team cried, and I went over and I gave her a hug and said, great job. And somewhere this teacher still has this on VHS footage, and he shows it to his class every year. And we had a brief moment. I congratulated her, and then I went off and celebrated with my teammates. And I think that's really first to me. It was back in the days of real head-to-head combat where you beat each other's robots up a bit more. But at the end of the day, we were friends, even though we were competing.
I think you're right. That's a lot about first. It says a lot about what we're trying to do and working together and the cooperation that you mentioned. So one final question, a totally fun one. What's something that people don't know about you? Do you have a hidden talent?
I don't have any talents. I'm very untalented, I think. I've tried to play musical instruments. I'm terrible at them. I love singing, but deaf people tell me to stop. It's that bad. I will say that it's not a talent, but I have been to 70 plus countries around the world. I speak 5 languages. I'm working on 6. I do love travel and food, and I think when people realize how many places I've been and what I've done in my life, they're kind of like, you've done what? You've been where? Yeah, I've been to some of those countries where people go, nobody goes to those countries. I've been to some of those.
I think you're very talented, and I enjoy every conversation that we have together, and it's my honor to be able to work with you in Orange County and with First, and I thank you from First for doing all of the things that you've done throughout your, how many years?
22, I think, maybe 23. 22 or 23.
2020 was a blur,
what
so
year?
it might
It's
be 23.
2021, so 98. So, yeah, 23 years.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and everything that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Kim. Bye-bye.
Bye.